Nigeria records 423 new COVID-19 cases on Tuesday, bringing total tally to 47,290. NECO officials now required to take an oath before participating in examinations. In international news, U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden picks black woman Senator Kamala Harris as vice presidential running mate, a first in American history. And in sport, beach soccer team laments exclusion from FIFA palliatives.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. COVID-19 new cases in the country took a leap on Tuesday to 47,290 after the Center for Disease Control recorded 423 new cases. The center announced the discharge of 263 patients and 6 new deaths. 21 states and the Federal Capital Territory recorded new cases on Tuesday, with Lagos posting 117 new cases, followed by the FCT with 40. A total of 33,609 patients have so far been discharged. Total number of fatalities stands at 956. Active cases are nearly 11,000. Examination officials are now required to swear an oath of allegiance before they can participate in the forthcoming National Examination Council NECO exams. This was announced on Tuesday by the Registrar and Chief Executive Officer of the examinations body, Professor Godswill Obioma, during a press briefing where he announced the timetable for this year's examinations. Professor Obioma said more than 80,000 candidates have registered for the common entrance exams, more than 100,000 for BECE and nearly 170,000 for SSEC. He reaffirmed NECO's zero tolerance policy for examination malpractice. He said any exam center where malpractice is detected will be closed down and students moved to another center. Minister of State for Education, Emeka Nwajoba, has announced a 100 billion naira intervention fund for private school teachers. The minister made the announcement during the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 daily briefing in Abuja on Monday, where he said private school teachers are eligible to access the COVID-19 fund that is in place to ease any hardships the coronavirus pandemic might have inflicted on them because of the shutdown of schools. The minister promised the federal government will ensure proper management, or rather engagement, with private school teachers to access the fund from the central bank. At least 5 million candidates have registered for the Empower program, which started in late June and was to end in late July, but was extended by 2 weeks. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadiya Umar Farouk, says the ministry will apply due diligence to ensure that only duly qualified applicants are enrolled during the next stages of the selection process. She also said the ministry will fully inform the applicants and the general public on the progress of the scheme. The minister said the Empower program is designed to provide the Nigerian youth with opportunities to gain work skills and become entrepreneurs. She said this program will help in realizing President Muhammadu Buhari's 10-year vision of lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. So many positions have been taken in the country on the issue of 5G. Many link the new coronavirus to it, while others believe it is an improvement on 4G technology that is currently widely used in the country. But the debate has not abated. Correspondent Deji Badmus provides an update on the development of the 5G technology in the country.
Penetration has been expanding rapidly in Nigeria lately. Broadband penetration is currently at 40%, and the government is hoping to push that up to 80%, or 180 million people within the next 5 years. 4G network is still the dominant technology in Nigeria and is still not widespread. but the government and the country's telecoms industry are already considering 5G deployment.
We have done a field trial of 5G. It was done sometime late last year. Systems have been dimensioned to accommodate 5G. Networks are ready to work on 5G. So I think as an industry and as a country, we are fully prepared and we are good to go and ready to go on 5G technology.
But not everyone in the industry shares that view.
We're not likely to see any kind of 5G, serious 5G deployment start in the region until 2025. So we have some work to do catching up with 4G. I think the 5G discussion for West Africa in particular at this point is a serious distraction.
Whatever the case, 5G will eventually come to Africa and in particular Nigeria, considering its huge market.
What I do know is that telecoms is universal. It is the only infrastructure that connects all of us across the world. And the more we all participate in the development of the international telecom space, the better for all of us. We are now in the new normal, so we all need each other to be able to get things going. And so I would say beyond any political consideration, parties should consider where best they can source equipment that will support the development of their national infrastructure.
Coming up, African news. Thousands of volunteers working to clear oil sludge from a Japanese vessel as ecosystem threatened. And later, international news. U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden picks black woman Senator Kamala Harris as vice presidential running mate, a first in American history.
You are watching ANN.
See you tomorrow, Papa. I am happy and I know I'm free.
Now time for meeting. Any landlord when no show go pay fine.
Make I go call her.
House number 1. Present.
Papa, they don't stab me too.
House number 5.
And they're angry that you are not here.
Just put me on the window there so that I can see them and I can hear them. He's not around, so his house is sanctioned. Present. I carry data for head, I carry him for back. Correct data when no dey peme. Say I know they know me, say I know they see your landlord. Talk to me face to face.
Explore without limits. Turn it up on MTN, the reliable data network.
Driver, fire ahead.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Tens of thousands of volunteers in Mauritius are now racing against time to clear and contain a serious oil spill caused by a Japanese freighter that ran aground offshore in late July.
Fears are growing that the Japanese bulk carrier MV Wakasho could break and dump its remaining cargo of oil and fuel into waters surrounding Mauritius. Some experts predict this could happen within 2 days. The oil spill is near the Blue Bay Marine Park, known for its spectacular corals and myriad of fish species.
It is unimaginable the foul smell, the toxic smell that comes out from this oil, and the high density of the oil makes it very difficult to handle. It gets stuck on the rocks, on the plants, and the mangroves. And we have a big plantation of mangrove, big forest of mangrove all around the East Coast. And these mangroves are nurseries and a very important part of the ecosystem. They are nurseries for the fish population and the different species that thrive within these areas.
And that is an additional blow to the country's ecotourism.
We rely hugely on the East Coast for our tourism industry. Many hotels are found there. Most of our beaches and islets are also on the East Coast, and all of these have now been contaminated. So it looks like we are going to have very, very big, a very big impact on our tourism industry because of the spillage. And also we rely heavily on the East Coast for our fish production, whether it is by farm or with artisanal fishing.
The Japanese vessel had an estimated 800 tons of fuel remaining on board. It was originally carrying 4,000 tons of fuel and oil. Already, more than a quarter of that has leaked into the surrounding waters. Workers and volunteers now struggle to clear the oil and sludge before the disaster could become much worse. French military and technical advisors have also arrived after Mauritius appealed for international help.
The latest annual report from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime says COVID-19 pandemic has hampered efforts to help millions of people dealing with drug addiction. Correspondent Julie Shu tells us how real this problem has been in South Africa.
Lindy Wehani turned to drugs after a string of personal losses, including the assassination of her father and freedom fighter Chris Hani back in 1993. She kicked the habit after 10 years and has been clean since 2015. But anxiety crept in when South Africa's lockdown was imposed in late March.
I was petrified as soon as lockdown was announced because it took away all my coping mechanisms. It took away the meetings, it took away my exercise, it took away what I had put in place in order to maintain my recovery. My initial feeling was panic, complete and utter panic, that now I'm going to be isolated and alone and I don't know how to cope. So I think that even for addicts, it was terrible.
Fighting addiction is a lifelong commitment for Hani. Cigarettes have helped through her journey, but a sales ban left her feeling desperate.
So those kind of old behaviors came back, and it gave me a fright because it came back so easily. It was so natural to call someone who can give me something underground. You know, I didn't even hesitate. I didn't think twice.
Afraid of relapsing, Hani reached out to her counselor at Drug Rehabilitation Center Houghton House. She resumed therapy and started writing about her experiences.
That was a way to feel once again that you're part of a community who are going through the same things, and that once I actually wrote a story about it, that's when I started to calm down. I realized, okay, I'm going to get through this. So I went from complete and utter panic to acceptance.
The International Narcotics Bureau says there's been an increase in Africa's illicit drug trade during the pandemic, but Houghton House says it's not seen a spike from those seeking help.
We haven't seen too many people, or addicts in particular, come in for help. And this could be for various reasons. Potentially having more time at home, being able to indulge more in their substance use and addiction. And also because things have slowed down quite a lot, there are financial burdens that come with seeking support and seeking help for addiction. However, I think it would be worth at least investigating what options are out there.
It's still too early to say what impact COVID-19 lockdown has had on substance users in South Africa, but Houghton House has kept its doors open for those willing to make the change.
Residents of Rwanda's northern and western regions have found a new source of income, volcanic rocks, and you may wonder how anyone can make a living out of those. Our correspondent Martina Abira explains.
The initiative began in 2017 with a company in Hakor formed for this purpose, and the volcanic materials used in construction work at different sites for road construction, house walls, and more. The factory currently employs 40 people and processes 80 square meters of the rocks per day depending on demand. Nevertheless, the factory owners have explained that they have to shift as soon as possible so that they can increase their productivity and double their machinery from the current 15. All over Musanze district, there are buildings built using these types of rocks that haven't been processed, as well as other building materials derived from them used to construct and build roads, walls of houses that have been raised, sites with such materials, and more. Those who chose to use them and other products that are manufactured explain that there is a big advantage because in addition to being durable, they do not waste a lot of time importing materials, which saves them a lot of money. Private sector officials in that part of the country have explained that the volcanic rocks are no longer just a problem as they used to be, and are instead becoming productive and a source of income for many. Often across the country, there are a variety of things that are littered all over, such as garbage, which is in many places considered to be a problem. On the other hand, different people go on to come up with ideas on how they can utilize them and get an income, especially the fact that it benefits many sectors, whether it is employment, the use of such new materials, old ones like the volcanic rock, and so on. Martina Abera, RTV News.
When we return, international news. U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden picks black woman Senator Kamala Harris as vice presidential running mate. And later, sport. Beach soccer team laments exclusion from FIFA palliatives.
You are watching ANN. Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you'll need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, Africa News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Rescue teams are still searching for those buried on the rubble of buildings destroyed by a massive explosion in Beirut. More than 200 persons were killed and 5,000 displaced. The whole country is pulling together to get through this catastrophe. Correspondent Adil El Marouki reports.
The destruction of Beirut's port is immense, and the rescue mission is beyond the capabilities of Lebanon's army. Nearly 800 international rescue and medical personnel have arrived from some 20 different nations to help.
Since foreign assistance arrived, we looked into the capabilities of each country and the number of people in each team. We divided the explosion site into sectors among them. No doubt we still need equipment, but we can bring good results with what we have. We are working 24 hours a day.
Experts are on the ground daily helping with the excavation, hoping to find the missing people in an area of approximately 1.2 square kilometers. 2 explosions, one after the other, has made the search much more difficult. Had it been just one, rescuers say they could have narrowed down the search area. And it's a dangerous operation because of the chemicals still on site.
In general, the big dispersion of toxic gas now it's not anymore standing in the surrounding. What is possible to find is some hotspot due to specific chemicals that were stored in the port area. In order to support the Lebanese authority, the other international and national urban search and rescue teams to ensure that they are working in a safe environment, or to recommend them the protective equipment.
Lebanese Navy forces are leading the search in the waters around the port. Divers launch their boats daily looking for bodies, while vessels scan the seabed.
The Lebanese military say they will continue the search and rescue efforts no matter how long they take. To them, everyone has the right to be found dead or alive, even despite the slim chances that they'd survive this far.
U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden has named California Black Senator Kamala Harris as his running mate in the November 3rd general elections. 55-year-old Harris is the first Black and South Asian American woman to run on a major political party's presidential ticket. The former California Attorney General has been urging police reform amid nationwide anti-racism protests. Harris is now the third woman to serve as a vice presidential candidate for a major political party after Geraldine Ferraro in 1984 and Sarah Palin in 2008. Kamala Harris centered her own presidential bid on her readiness to take on Donald Trump and show Americans she would fight for them. She rose to national prominence within the Democratic Party by interrogating Trump nominees during Senate hearings, from former Attorney General Jeff Sessions to Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Harris's selection comes months after Biden committed to picking a woman to join him on the Democratic ticket. The Biden-Harris Democratic ticket will take on the Trump-Pence Republican ticket in November. With more than 40% of people with COVID-19 showing no symptoms, many people want to know whether they had the virus. Scientists at the University of Exeter say the answer is a fast, reliable antibody test, which is now ready to be manufactured and used in the UK.
In the world of COVID-19, imagine this. You take a tiny prick of blood, put it in a mini test tube, run it through a machine, and 7 minutes later you get the results for 8 different tests. You can find out whether you previously had the virus and potentially even whether you currently have it.
So this patient has been infected with COVID or vaccinated, but in the future, but infected with COVID and may be recovering.
The test can also tell you whether you are suffering from any of the 4 most common strains of this year's flu, or whether your flu vaccination has worked.
So to be confident that our test is positive, it's a triple positive because it's responded to 3 parts of the virus with 3 antibodies. That gives you more confidence the test is accurate. And in the case of a hospital setting, some understanding about how early somebody is in the infection, whether they had the infection some time ago and they're recovering. Is a person getting better in ITU? You can monitor the recovering process. And you can also see them not doing so well.
Professor Shaw says they're also working on a saliva test, which could get people back to school, work and travelling again.
We need to restart the economy, and maybe the way to do that is to screen people into the workplace each day and put them under surveillance, look for changes in their record each day to see whether other things can be detected.
And this could be the future of workplace testing, a COVID-19 portable testing device that fits into the palm of your hand. It even locates outbreaks on a map, so local infection spikes can be monitored.
We're going to be living with COVID for a while. Even the vaccine may only last a year, and will that need to be topped up? Was your response good? Is your response fading? You're going to need to be making those measurements at home. If we have 100,000 devices in the field, that's a huge amount of measurement, a huge amount of data.
With people all over the world testing themselves for COVID-19 on handheld devices, it could become the biggest clinical trial ever performed.
Meanwhile, the UK economy has gone into recession for the first time in 11 years. It suffered its biggest slump on record between April and June as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. Chancellor Rishi Sunak says the recession is a result of unprecedented pandemic situations. But Shadow Chancellor Annalise Dodds disagrees. She blames Prime Minister Boris Johnson for the scale of the economic decline.
Up next, sports. Beach soccer team laments exclusion from FIFA palliatives. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sport, members of the Super Sand Eagles, the beach soccer national team, have lamented the team's exclusion from the list of beneficiaries of the COVID-19 relief funds. Nigeria Football Federation released a list of how it shared $2 million among national teams, the men and women's leagues, coaches, association, supporters and sports writers. Women's football will get $500,000, while men's football will receive $1.5 million. Super Sand Eagles will get nothing. Members of local organizing committee of the Edo 2020 National Sports Festival say they are ready to host a befitting competition if they get a go-ahead. Minister of Youth and Sports Sunday Dare had earlier announced the indefinite postponement of the festival, which was initially scheduled to hold in March. Edo State Governor, Senior Special Advisor on Sport, Sixtos Mohaha, says everything is in place to host a befitting sporting event. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.